Russia's invasion into Ukraine has begun to trigger severe sanctions by the US and Europe. One of the biggest concerns now is that Russia could retaliate by cutting off gas supplies into Europe. This will have a direct and huge impact on global warming, potentially throwing out Europe's 2030 decarbonisation plan out by years. Carbon emissions in the EU will increase by at least 37.5 million tonnes per year, even if half of the gas imported from Russia is replaced by coal. That is the amount of carbon emitted by entire countries like Ireland or Switzerland per year. This war is not only going to have a long-lasting and devastating impact on human lives in Ukraine, it is also threatening the climate and in turn lives around the planet. Let's dig a little deeper into the detail. Russia is Europe's largest gas supplier, delivering around half of its total gas supply. Most of this comes through pipelines, while a smaller amount is shipped as liquefied natural gas or LNG. Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, insists that if Russia were to pull the plug, the gap could be filled by importing additional LNG from other countries. However, this will have Europe competing with Asia, where LNG is the primary source of gas. Gas prices increased fivefold in 2021, even before any signs of an upcoming war, when Russia reduced its supply to Europe, triggering a similar competition for LNG. Moscow pulling the plug now could drive gas prices to further skyrocket. High gas prices have a direct impact on electricity, since 50% of the gas in Europe is used to generate energy. Electricity is produced from various sources such as nuclear, wind and solar energy, hydropower and fossil fuels. While renewable sources are being increasingly used, 37% of the supply in the European Union still relies on fossil fuels, primarily coal and gas. Energy is traded on the market like many other commodities, and the end goal is to produce power reliably and at the most stable prices possible. Planning and buying is done up to 5 years in advance. This means that even if there is somehow enough gas in Europe, with new supplies established from North Africa and the US, high gas prices will mean that producers will not be able to afford gas for the future. They will thus have to replace it with the only other cheaper and stable alternative: coal. While these contracts are drawn up for the future, they trigger the actual digging of coal in mines and the start of the transportation process to Europe. Considering how much gas is used in power generation, the swapping of gas with coal will have a huge detrimental impact on Europe's greenhouse emissions. This could severely derail Europe's 2030 decarbonisation plan out by years. The EU has been relying on gas as a cleaner alternative for power generation in its transition to a fossil-free future. As part of its climate efforts, Europe halved its coal usage between 2015 and 2020, replacing it in equal parts with gas and renewables. This directly led to a 30% fall in carbon emissions per unit of electricity generated. However, coal usage went up once again in 2021 when Russia reduced its gas supplies to Europe. This war will further undo Europe's progress towards net zero. According to our calculations, carbon emissions in the EU will increase by 37.5 million tonnes per year if the Russian portion of gas used to generate power is replaced by coal. This is not merely conjecture. It is a very likely possibility based on how the market works. There is little that can be done about this now. This should, however, urge us to find better solutions to go 100% green rather than swapping one fossil fuel with another in our effort to reduce carbon emissions.